I have no clue what's going to happen, but here's what I do know. It is a terrible time to be a New Orleans Saints fan. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope all of you having a great start to your week. Hope all of you having a great day. If not, hope this video can make it a little bit better. And man, oh man, we're going to talk about a very interesting situation that involves the Saints, but more importantly, their quarterbacks, Tyler Shough and Spencer Rattler. For those of you that haven't been keeping up with this situation, let me catch you up to speed. Everyone and their mama has been clowning on the Saints, ridiculing them because they took Shough early in the second round. They said, including myself, they should have took Shadur Sanders, but we've already talked plenty about it. I'm not going to divulge into that too much. The draft, it happened months ago. Bottom line is, Saints go with Shough. Everybody in the world is like, who in the world is this bozo? Why didn't we get Shadur? And when I say we, let me clarify, it's not just people like me saying that. It's also the fans. I'd argue and say that Saints fans have hated on Tyler Shough more than anybody. To make matters even worse, we made a video on him about roughly, I think it was like 9 or 10 days ago, talking about how awful he's looked in training camp. There are some videos going viral on Twitter. I'm sure some of you might have seen that. Not going to go over all those video clips again. If you want to check them out for yourself, feel free to do so. The video's on the channel. And I may roll some of the clips here. You know, let's do this. Give you a refresher. Matt, roll a clip. As you can see, Shough looks very indecisive. He's scrambling around the pocket, and he didn't even get a throw off. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're talking about practice. At least throw one up. Why are you running out of bounds? Don't even get me started on that. I could go on a rant and tangent for 3 or 4 minutes. All you need to know is he's looked rough in training camp, and I've even seen some people talking about a conspiracy theory of how the Saints are trying to tank this year, lose every single game so they can draft Arch Manning, but that's a little too far-fetched. Although you could make an argument for it low-key and say it's somewhat believable, at the end of the day, I don't really think they're doing that. For some odd reason, they like Tyler Shough. Just between me and you, I don't know why, but they liked him. And yesterday, which was Sunday, he played in his first NFL preseason game, which didn't go as he hoped it would. Believe it or not, if you didn't watch this game, it wasn't abysmal, and he played better than I thought he would, but the one thing that really weighs this down is he threw a pick six. His first ever touchdown pass in the NFL was to the opposing team. You can't make it up. All the Tyler Shough haters, oh yeah, they were clamoring all over Twitter. They were hyping it up. They're like, look, I told you this guy sucked. He threw a pick six. It was pretty funny because you want to know what happened on the very next drive? He threw a 50-yard touchdown pass. You want to talk about some resiliency? Whew, look no farther than that. I don't care what anybody tries to tell you. One of the hardest things to do as a quarterback, especially a rookie quarterback, is bouncing back for an interception. Because heading into a game, you're like, okay, I don't want to put the ball in harm's way. But after throwing a pick six, you're like, all right, I especially do not want to put the ball in harm's way. Let me throw the check downs, even if you got a guy wide open, run down the sidelines for 20, 30 yards. You're like, I don't want to risk it. Let me just check it down. But he didn't do that. I'm going to clap it up to him. That is how you bounce back. And I really hate to see this because it's very trendy and popular to hate on Shough. If Shadur Sanders would have did that, threw a pick six, and then bounced back with a 50-yard touchdown pass, everybody out there would have been talking about how, like I just said, he's got so much resiliency, and that's how you bounce back from an interception, baby. You lead the team on a touchdown drive. But nobody really said that for Shough, and I think it's disappointing. I do want to give him his flowers for that, and all the credit in the world. Let that be known right now. That impressed me. It wasn't him going, I'll show you the stats in just a second. He was something like 15 for 22, all the passing. No. You know what impressed me the most? Him bouncing back from that interception. That's what the NFL is about. Much different game from college. We've talked about this in the past couple of videos with Cam Ward, Shadur Sanders, all the guys we spoke on, Bryce Young. You're not going to go out here and throw 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions like you see a lot of your great college quarterbacks do. It's just not plausible. And maybe one year you may see like a Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers do that, but 99% of these quarterbacks, no. You're going to have a stat line something like, especially if you're a rookie, 24 touchdown passes to 14 interceptions. And low-key, that's considered good for a rookie. Interceptions are going to happen. They're a part of the game. You got great players on the defensive side of the ball. Not just great players, but the best athletes in the world. And here's the thing. We tend to see quarterbacks like Josh Allen, Tyler Shough, guys who put the ball in harm's way, do better in the NFL than guys that protect the ball. I'm not going to label him as a gunslinger because I don't think he is, but I'll tell you this much. He's not scared. He will throw some risky balls, some head-scratching ones at that. But, and this is a great tendency to have, you see this a lot with three-point shooters, he doesn't let it affect the next play. He wipes it out of his memory, and that's a good trait to have. Let me show you the box score before I forget. 15 for 22. That's nice. 165 passing yards, 1 touchdown. That was a good throw. One very, and I can't emphasize this enough, throw in 20 more varies. Very bad interception, which resulted in a pick six. Look, I'm not going to sit up here for the next, 5 minutes and tell you how bad the throw was. It was bad. Let's move on from it. I know it seems like I've kind of hyped him up in this video. Let me talk down on him a little bit. That is who Tyler Shough is. It's why me personally wasn't high on him heading into the draft, and I'm still not high on him. Because I already know there's going to be people in the comments arguing back and forth. Well, Matt, if you take away interception, he had I'm not going to say great, but he had a really good performance. But that's the thing. With Shough, you can't take away the intersection, man. You can't do it. That's who he is. He makes some disastrous. I'm talking about disastrous plays. I saw it in college. Now, here's where things get fascinating and the debate starts to heat up, at least in my humble opinion. Shough is probably going to move the ball down the field faster than Spencer Rattler. Me saying faster, that's a terrible way to put it. Okay, here's what I'm trying to say. Shough is going to get you the chunk plays. I think the offense could be slightly more efficient with him in there. I've been keeping up with Spencer Rattler dating back to his glory days back in high school when he went viral for all that crap on Netflix. Kept up with him at Oklahoma. His one bad trait, and South Carolina as well, everywhere he's went, is he's not a guy that's going to throw the ball. He's not going to have 4+ 50-yard passing plays a game. He may not even have but one every 2 to 3 games. Rattler's indecisive in the pocket, which goes hand in hand with his pocket presence isn't the best. He scrambles at times when he doesn't even have to. He just needs to stay in there. Rattler's timid and does not want to make mistakes, but by default, that also limits your big-time plays, and that's why Caleb Williams beat him out for a starting job at Oklahoma. People forget, when Rattler got benched at Oklahoma, they were undefeated. The offense wasn't bad. It just felt like it could have been better with a quarterback who would throw the ball and advance it down the field. And what happens? Williams goes in there, starts throwing these 40, 50, 60-yard bombs, and the rest is history. Williams, goes to USC, wins a Heisman Trophy, and Rattler, he transfers to South Kakalaki. But my point is with all this, Rattler is an outstanding game manager, but that's all he is. He's not a guy that is going to move the offense. Shough is a terrible game manager, but he's going to move the ball down the field better than Rattler, so it's really pick your poison. Rattler's not as risky, so if you have a great defense, that'd be more beneficial. Kind of like a Jalen Hurts. Not going to put the ball in harm's way a lot. Shough, you got to risk it to get the biscuit with him, but like they say in this life, high risk, high reward. Shough is the type of guy to go out there and throw 5 touchdowns, 500 yards one game, and the next game throw 5 interceptions and 98 yards. Let's talk about this, though, because I saw someone tweet this out. I should have saved it, bookmarked it, whatever you want to call it. Somebody stated that, Shough, he threw the interception, didn't have the greatest preseason performance you're ever going to witness, but we should be clapping it up and praising him because he's doing this with far less talent compared to some other teams out there, and I think that's a good point. I'm not going to sit up here and call the Saints bunzos because the season hasn't started. I want to wait and at least watch a couple games before I start saying crazy stuff like that. But here's what I will say. They're not the best team in the league, if you get what I'm trying to say. And let me ask you a question. Do you think it matters if it's Shough or Rattler leading this team? To me, there's not that big of a difference in either of these players. Me personally, and this is just me, if I had to pick a day one starter, I'm going with Spencer Rattler. But it's not like I think Rattler's some superhero or I think he's on a level with Patrick Mahomes or anything like that. I just think he's slightly better than Shough. Maybe y'all feel differently about all this. I'm curious. Let me know in the comment section down below. Here's the last thing I'm going to say and we'll end out this video. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, for the sake of this video, Saints start out the year. I don't even know what their schedule looks like, but we're just going to say they go 0-3, 0-4. When do you as a GM, head coach, or whoever's calling the shots here, I guess that would be the GM, start, sending the message out there that, we're trying to tank. We're trying to go, what is it now, 0-17 because there's an extra game. I've always believed this. Going 7-10, 8-9, it's pointless. You either want to be the worst team in the NFL or competing for the Super Bowl. No in-betweens. You don't got to be a rocket scientist to figure out. The Saints aren't just not going to win the Super Bowl. They're not even going to be competing for it. So If I was running the show, calling the shots, I don't advocate for tanking, but yeah, I'd be considering it. If we started out 0-3, 0-4. And what if Tyler Shough is just getting eaten alive out there, has one touchdown, my apologies, to like 7 interceptions. You throw Rattler in there, he's no better, 3 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. What do you do at that point? Because fans are going to get pissed off with the terrible quarterback play. Do you then think about trading for a quarterback? Oh, man, I ain't even talked about this. What about Shadur Sanders? Do you think there's is there a possibility the Saints, if Shadur's not getting any playing time with the Browns, he's QB4, fighting just to stay on the depth chart? Do the Saints go after Shadur? Probably not, but that's interesting. If you didn't draft him, I think that's a low likelihood, but you got to go after somebody, don't you? I have no clue what's going to happen, but here's what I do know. It is a terrible time to be a New Orleans Saints fan. Not looking good, Chief. Not looking good. Many more things I could say. We're going to end out this video here. I'm curious. Let me know your thoughts and all this down below.